wouldn't have thought of, and so they're recreating themselves. Would you all agree with that? Yeah. Well, just to bring home that point, I'll share a short story. A friend of mine, a few years back, her and her husband built a holiday home, and where they built it was they had to put a sewerage tank in. So the building was complete, then council requested something be changed, so they had to do that, and then weeks later they had to get a signing off from the council to say this is now done. But apparently the person that could sign it off was away for 10 days. Well, the bank wouldn't release the money if they didn't have this paper from the council. The builder wanted his money, a couple of $100,000, and if he didn't have it by the morning, he was going to charge 15% a day. On $100, that's not much, but on a couple of $100,000, it builds up. So she was stressed out of her mind, and I'd gone over to do a bit of work with social media. And I said to her, I said, so have you done everything possible? Have you dotted your I's, crossed your T's, made your calls? She said, yes. I said, is there anybody else that you could possibly call? And she said, no, there isn't. I said, great. I said, well then let it go. Let's do something else. Let's do the work that we are here to do. And she goes, what do you mean? I can't possibly think about, I said, come on, let's do what we'd planned to do. So I distracted her, and it was about 25 minutes that we were working away, then her phone rang. And she went to get the phone. She came back 10 minutes later and she said, how did that happen? I said, how did what happen? And she said, how did that just happen, that what I couldn't fix is now all of a sudden they found someone to sign the paper, they've sent the form to the bank, and the bank's releasing the funds tomorrow. How did that happen? I said, it happened because you got out of the way. Because when we do everything that we can, we make the calls, take the action, then we have to sit back and allow the process. It's a bit like, say if I was to bake a chocolate coconut cake, and I put all the ingredients in, and I'm trying to work out how they're all blending together. It would, or trying to watch out how it's being cooked in the oven and kept opening it, just wouldn't work. So when we try and when we get stressed and try and figure it out, we interfere with the natural process. And there's a, you know, whatever you believe, there's a high power that orchestrates it. It's happened too much in my life for me to believe otherwise. So with that, what I'd love to do is just share with you some tools, and this is going to be a practical thing where you're actually doing the tools, so that way when we finish the call, you have an understanding on how to do them, and you don't have to write down the actual tools, because I've got it in a sheet that I'll send to Jenny and she will pass it on to everybody, so you don't have to stress about taking all those notes. But what I would love you to do is to have a sheet of paper and a pen handy that you can just write some personal notes or some things that you'd like to remember as we're going through. Okay, so one of the first things is that when we get overly stressed, we interfere with the natural flow of our body and our ability to create or get clear on our thoughts. So these are little tips that can help with that. So one of the first ones, I'd like you to actually do this. And so what you do is you cross your feet, can be left over right or right over left, it doesn't matter. Now there's two ways of doing it. I'll show you both ways. And just clasp your hands, place them on the desk in front of you or on your lap. And I'd love you to curl your tongue so that it's touching the roof of your mouth, and just breathe normally. Now this can be done anywhere. You could be in a meeting. You could be, you know, it doesn't matter. So if you just do that and just go silent for a while and just pay attention what starts to happen in your body. And the way your body just centers and calms. Another way that you would want to do, maybe if you're in the office on your own or at home, is to put your arms out in front of you, and I'd like you to all do this, and put the back of your hands together, and then just clasp your hands. I don't know how to say that. Just bring one palm in front of the other, and bring your arms up and just place them on your chest gently. Keep your feet crossed, curl your tongue again, and close your eyes. This just makes it that little bit more powerful. But if you're in a meeting, naturally, it might not be suitable to do it this way. But just pay attention to what starts to happen in your body, how your body feels, and what you notice. Now we're just going to do it for a little while due to the time. But can you imagine if you did this, say, for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Keeping your tongue curled, touching the roof of your mouth, breathing gently. Now just come back into the room. Did anybody notice, what did people notice as a result of that? I'd love some quick, short bits of feedback.
I noticed my breathing.
Excellent. Thank you.
I felt a bit of a vacuum.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for that.
And my breathing got deeper too.
Yeah, because you really pay attention. It's almost like you're bringing all your meridians back into center rather than shooting out that way. You're just recentering. And say if there's if you're in a meeting and there's a bit of stress in the meeting, it's a great way of bringing balance and calmness. If even one person does it, it just brings that sense of calmness. I've used that a lot for different occasions. So another one is, so that's one tip. Another one is a shower technique. So ordinary rock salt. Now this is not one you have to practice now. Just get ordinary rock salt, put it into a plastic container and have it in your shower. And what you do is turn the shower on, get the temperature right, and just grab a handful of the rock salt, place it in your hand, and then stand under the shower and open your hands as like a lotus, place it over the top of your head, let the water pour through and down over your body. Now, because salt draws away, it will also draw away the energy that we've picked up throughout the day that might be, heavy or, other people's energies. It just takes it away and it goes through into the shower. Now, these are all things that I've written down on this form for you. So on the Word document, that's really amazing, and I've used that for years. Another one is the bath. If you're a bath person, the essential oil of cedarwood. Now, I would use a better quality one because you're going to put it into your bath, not just a cheaper version. And if you run the bath so it's nearly to the level you need it, and just get a little container, place a little bit of bubble bath or some liquid shower gel, or if you don't use any of those, even a little bit of full cream milk, and you put 5-6 drops of cedar wood, twirl it round with your finger, and then just run it under the running tap, put it under the running tap. As the water runs into it, it will disperse throughout the bathtub. Please do not just put the essential oil straight into the bathtub, because you will know that you have done it. It just attaches to your skin and it hurts. So it's very gentle when you put it into the bubble bath or the carrier, and it will disperse throughout the whole tub. Cypress. No, did I say cedar wood? No, I meant to say cypress, sorry. I meant to say cypress. Cypress is an etheric cleanser, and it's brilliant in the bathtub because it just removes all the yucky stuff that we've picked up externally. So that's another great tip. Another one is be kind to me sign. Now, this might seem, and I'd love you to write it up so that you have it somewhere that you can see it. Is there a better way right now for me to take good care of myself? Now, some people might say, oh, look, I'll remember that, but this is not for when we are thinking rationally. You know, it's amazing when you see things that are up in visual, you know, somewhere on the wall or on our computer or nearby or in a little frame on the desk. So just to remind us during those times where we might be stressed to the max. And it might be that you just stop for a moment and say, is there a way right now for me to take better care of myself? And it could be something that you do instantly, like, yeah, just get up and go and have a glass of water, or go for a walk, or go and have a few breath of fresh air. It could be something small that you need to do immediately, but it might be something that, do you know what? You've been promising yourself to read that book, or you've been promising yourself, when we go back to normal, to have that massage, or you've been promising yourself that you want to go and play golf, or go for a run on the beach. Whatever it is that for you that expands your soul, that makes you feel happy inside. Because remember, play is for the body what a good attitude is for the mind. So it helps us. And if we keep putting things off and saying, oh, she'll be right, yep, you know, because the belief is, you know, suck it up, princess, just get going. But if we keep doing that over and over and over again, how many people do you know of that when they go on holidays, they get sick? Or you hear of people retiring and all of a sudden they find out they've got cancer or diabetes, or they die or something. That's because, you know, we push ourselves, and then when we finally stop, the body goes, oh, thank God. And it just, all the things that were not right hit all at once. So this is really important for the everyday little things to assist our body, so that we are paying attention to that little voice inside that says, hey, I'm here. I need some attention here. Because everybody's either a parent or a partner or a sibling or a friend or a boss or something, and you give and you give and you give, and then you give some more. And especially during this time, I know that all you guys are givers and you're doing your utmost to help people, but then you give some more, but then we need to replenish as well. And that is really, really important for us, for our physical body and our spirit. Am I making sense so far? I feel like I'm going and going and going. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so that those little things that are that we do are just so important, and having that sign up, and I've written it down on the sheet so that you can print it up and make it all pretty, it's a little thing, but it is really powerful. And it might just be that moment, that minute, you know, because some people say, oh look, I haven't got 15 minutes, but you've got a minute. And it might be a minute just to take a few deep breaths, or to do one of the little tools that I've shared. And it, yes, a question, Patrick.
Why the tongue? Why the tongue on the top of the mouth? What does that do? Why
cool. Because by crossing the feet, crossing the hands, curling the tongue, it connects all our meridians. So the energy is circling inward and nothing is going out, because the tongue is for speaking. And we're crossing all our you know, nerve bits, and so it just centers everything. Okay, great. Thank you for the question. Great question. Another powerful one is, has anybody been in a situation where you've either had a client or a customer that's irate, or a family member that's going through some stress, and you're either catching up in person or you're on the phone, and they talk and they talk and they tell you their problems, and then they say, oh, I feel so much better now, and you hang up and you feel like you want to just go to sleep, or you feel like you need to have a shower, or you feel like you just want to die for a while. Has anybody had that happen, or is it just me? Yep. Okay. There's this great tool, and it's a simple tool that you just silently say it, and it's return to sender. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to put it into practice and just see what happens. A perfect example of this, a few days ago, I had a lady calling me, and she's using the redox products, but she was irate. She said, oh my God, she said, I'm the only one working. My husband is ill, it can't work. My son has got problems. The property, the land that we were supposed to buy fell through. I've lost 60 grand. My dad was going to, and she went on, and I allowed her to talk. And she said, nobody wants to listen to me. And I just, at one point when I felt that it was starting to go beyond the sharing, I just simply said from my heart, return to sender. How can I help? Return to sender. And I just, in my mind, I just said it. And then all of a sudden she said, thank you so much for listening. She said, nobody's been wanting to listen to me, and I just needed to get that out. And I said, that's okay. I said, now, how can I help you? And she said, oh, I've sent some information out. A few people want some information on the product because they're getting results. What can I do? And I said, great, I'll put some things in the mail for you, and you can give it to them. She said, that would be great. She felt happy. I was happy because I didn't feel like I just had a tip truck just dump on me, and it works. So, and it depends on the aggression that's coming towards you. If it's an irate customer blaming you for something that is not even your fault, and they're just dumping, then you would say it with a little bit more, return to sender. And you might say return to sender with, and not out loud, just in your mind. And you might say it with consciousness attached, or with love, or with awareness, or just return to sender. And I'd love you to put that into practice and just see how it works for you. And who's like, would you agree that these are all little things, little tools that you can use very easily, and have them handy, so, you know, written up and handy until you actually put them into your day-to-day routine, and then they just become part of, okay, so you get up, you brush your teeth, you know, have your tea, have your coffee. It just becomes part of your everyday life. And then when you least expect it, it'll just come back to you. Oh, that's right, that tool. What was it? Yes, that's right. Let me use that. Now, there's another one that this one takes a little bit longer. And I'll need you to actually participate in this as well. And I'll send you the link on this because it's great to be guided through this. And it's called the havening technique. So what it is I'd love you to think about before I tell you that, there'll be a couple of things that we'll be doing. One is rubbing our arms just up and down. Okay, we'll be doing it for a little while. So I'd love you to participate because that way you get to feel what's going on. Now, and another one is you'll be looking laterally from right to left with your eyes closed, but your eyes will go from right to left, okay? Now put that aside, and I'd love you to think about a time where you were super stressed or something really terrible happened. Just give that a bit of thought, and when you've thought about that, I'd love you to rate it between 1 and 10. 1 being just a little bit of stress and 10 being maximum stress. Is there anybody who doesn't have a situation like that right now or that's happened in the past? No, we're all good? Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is have your arms, touch your arms, you know, and just rub them up and down, just gently. This is not a race, just gently. And close your eyes. And I'd like you to imagine that you're walking along the beach. The sun is shining and you're walking along the beach. And we're going to count from 1 to 20 as you're walking. So I'd like you to count out loud, 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, keeping your eyes closed, I'd like you to look laterally, your eyes to the right and to the left. Do it about 10 times, to the right and left, right and left, right and left, right and left. 7, 8, 9, 10. Keeping your eyes closed, I'd like you now to imagine that you're walking along a beautifully, freshly mowed lawn that's nice and soft, and the sun is beaming down. And as you're walking, you're counting from 1, and keep rubbing your arms, counting from 1 to 20. 1, out loud, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Keep breathing and keep rubbing your arms. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now again, I'd like you to look laterally with your eyes from right to left. Do it about 10 times. Nine, 10. Okay. Now keep rubbing your arms and your eyes still closed. I'd like you to imagine that you're on your computer and you're tapping away at your keys, but you're still rubbing your arms, but you're imagining that you're tapping away at your keys. And I'd like you to count from 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as if you were tapping on your keys. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Keep rubbing your arms. Now I'd like you to look laterally from right to left about 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now keep rubbing your arms for a while and just take a deep breath and out. And just put your arms down. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. And just for a moment, I'd like you to think back on the stress that you originally had. And I'd love you to rate it again. Sometimes if it's a huge stress, it might take a few times to shift it, but other times you find that there's a bit of a difference. Has anybody noticed anything? Does anybody have any questions or would a comment? I can't hear.
Yeah, I think it's definitely reduced that level for me.
Excellent. Yeah. And did you have any other, like, Catherine, did you have any other feelings about some of the other tools or tips that I've shared with you as to how your body is feeling now in comparison to earlier on in the day?
It's definitely more relaxed. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Would you find that these tools and tips useful on a day-to-day basis? Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got to make a concerted effort to do it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, because our body, we are important, and when we do, our body rewards us because we still get everything else done. I don't know if anybody's noticed when you felt that you wanted to have a bit of a rest, but you weren't going to allow yourself because you had so much to do, but then you did anyway. Did you notice how you've got everything done and more? Has anybody had that experience, or is it just me? Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. It's because you're honoring. It's like my belief is that our physical body is our greatest gift that we will ever have. Because without this, the spirit doesn't have a home. And so, having lost my parents at an early age, I sort of have been on the path of spiritual, mental, emotional, physical well-being for since I was 30, so it's 34 years now. And so it you know, that we don't, you know, people say, oh, you know, you look good for your age, or you, but that's because of the action that I take. and the fact that I honor my body. And it's not about going overboard. I still enjoy my coffee and cake and, you know, hot chips occasionally, and a bit of pizza and stuff, and fish and chips occasionally. But it's about honoring our body, and you know, treating it as you would if you had an amazing car that you loved. Does anybody have any other questions?
I think what you said, Carmel, about being kind to yourself is a really important message that I'm going to take away with me from your session. I think, like working in the funeral industry, we spend an awful lot of time being kind to people.
Yes.
And we're not always good at holding back a little bit of that kindness for ourselves. So
yes.
I really appreciate the reminder. So thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
what you've done today. Yeah.
And have that little sign. This will be a blessing for you. If, you know, is there a better way right now for me to take good care of myself? You know, have that where you see it. And if you can't, just put a little symbol on next to the sign, like you might have your sign at home, and you can put a little symbol of a star, and then you put the star somewhere in your workspace. You will know that that star is reminding you of that saying. But other people won't necessarily know. Yeah.
I like it a lot.
It's having a prompt. Carmel, I was just going to say that I just think the comments around listening to your body, and so these things that we don't have to wait for anyone else, we can do them ourselves in the moment, and it is knowing what our body needs right now. And we do tend to push that to a side, when particularly there's a lot of people here that have lots of responsibilities that pull them in lots of different directions, and at times I guess we do have to think of ourselves and see that, and I'm not good at this, so I need to listen above everyone, but to listen to our bodies, and whether that's to get, you know, 8 hours sleep, or because our bodies are talking to us and we can either listen to them. And so some of these strategies I think are so helpful because they don't take long at all. They're tiny habits, like the 1%ers that can make a big difference and potentially give us that longevity that I think we're all after. So it's a really brave thing to come and talk, because often, you know, and particularly to take people through, and some of the activities are awkward because you're sort of, you know, you're sitting here, but they are really important. And so I really thank you for bringing this and being, I guess you're convicted because you've had such personal experience, and your passion, and that's very evident. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for sharing that, Edwina. And that's it. You know, thank you for the comment. It's about things that you can do yourself, because, you know, it's great to go and see people. Now, you know, I'll go through a situation, I'll say, can I handle this myself? And if I immediately say yes, okay, what do I have to do to handle it myself? Or do I need a support? And I've got a team of people that I'll see for different things. Do I need to see my network chiropractor? Do I need to see this person? And if it's yes, then I will make my appointment. But these are little things that you're all givers, and especially at the moment, you know, it's like I said, you're probably wearing 10, 12 different hats, and you're dealing with people that are stressed to the max. So
I think the challenge for all of us is passing on some of this good wisdom to those that we love and care for.
Yes, yeah. And if once you get the sheets, go over them again. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to, you know, to answer them. Like I said, I'm not coaching anymore, but the thing is, I still love to help people. I love to receive gifts and tips and, you know, better ways of, I love to receive things like that. So I love to share them. It's like, you know, just hearing, and once you've put them into practice and you've used them, you'll understand what I'm saying. You will understand. It's like, wow, it's something so little, so simple, yet it works. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
It is true, Carmel. You know, you get bogged down in the day-to-day and you get bogged down with everybody, especially what we're going through at the moment, and with mental health more, very much more up front, with suicide levels going higher. All these things are really important for us. One, to connect through what we're doing here with each other, but also to remember that, yeah, it's okay. We are allowed to actually take a minute and be nice to ourselves. So
especially,
thank you.
especially that one, you know, if you're dealing with a client and you say, is there a better way for you to take better care of yourself right now? And it's like, they'll probably shake their head and go, huh? And you'll just say it again. You might need to say it 3 times. And it'll get them thinking, and they'll say, well, yeah, I could probably do blah. So it's sharing the tools, sharing these little things that don't cost anything and that make a world of difference. So, yeah, is there anything else? Is there any other questions or comments or experiences that people had while they were going through these mad tools?
Can you return to sender everybody you speak to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Positive and negative?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like, it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, like, it comes back. Whatever it is that you give out comes back. So if you're talking to someone and they are in an amazingly, you know, you're in an amazing state and they're saying to you, return to sender, what you're giving out will come back. And it doesn't dump a whole lot of stuff on them. It just makes them snap out of what they're saying. It's a bit like a thought breaker. When you're saying return to sender and they're talking in an irate way and they're going on and on and on, and they don't realize, because they're in their stress, they don't realize that they've gone from sharing to dumping. And so the return to sender energetically helps them. You're actually doing them a favor, because what we give out comes back. So by them dumping on you, somebody else will then dump on them. Don't know when, but it happens. So by you saying return to sender, it just helps them snap, and then they'll change the conversation or they'll finish the conversation. It's interesting the way it happens, but it works. So it's not a terrible thing. It actually is a blessing. So you're welcome. Thank you, Edwina.
No worries. Thank you, Carmel. And I think if everyone just a little round of applause for Carmel and her words of wisdom. And I guess the challenge is how we pick that up and take that into our daily lives when we do have, as all of us do, challenging conversations. So Kylie might be able to use that within the chamber. We'd love to hear feedback.
I'll send it through to Jen. Thank you.
Right, well, I'd love to hand over to Chris now, who's going to talk to us a little bit about what Council's doing in regard to recovery and business, and then we'll open it up to some general questions that people have. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much, Edwina. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Carmel, for that session. I feel calmer just being in the same Zoom meeting with you. So thank you
Chris,
for those words. I will seek to practice that as I address the many emails I have ever growing in my inbox. So thank you. With regard to the goings on with regard to council business support and a number of the initiatives that we have in play. Last time I spoke to our business triage, which is still still taking place, albeit we noticed that we had a little bit of a downturn in terms of the number of businesses that were taking that up, particularly post JobKeeper, job seeker. So there was an element of some degree of calm. I'm not sure how long that's going to continue, should there be any changes to that for our small to medium-sized enterprises. But something to keep up on. The other very interesting and very exciting thing that our organisation is doing is working through our municipal relief and recovery plan, and that looks at social health and wellbeing as well as the economic items that we might address as part of that relief and more so the recovery plan. A significant aspect of that that's currently in train is the community engagement piece that is being worked on by the relief and recovery groups. And I'm pleased to say that as part of that, the Maroondah Business Group is a significant stakeholder that Council will be liaising with in due course once that engagement piece is complete. So we look forward to having some further and more detailed discussions so that we can glean some further insights from each of you and the number of members that are part of the Maroondah Business Group, so that we can look to provide some design responses around how it is we further assist our local businesses. So certainly stay tuned for that one. And the other thing that we're doing is, of course, the better approvals process, and very timely in that it's coming online in August. So the intention there is to ensure that businesses have very much a fast track insofar as Council providing far more prompt assistance in terms of permits for their businesses across a number of different permanent requirements that they might have. Also interesting work that my colleague Nicole Dawes is stewarding with regard to the shopping centre review, and also another very important and interesting piece of work being what we hope will be the exemplar for our neighbourhood activity centres, and those centres that have anywhere from 5 to 20 to 30 shops contained therein, and how it is that we can start to reactivate and bring more people into those centres, of course maintaining social distancing, but ensuring that people come to these spaces either walking, cycling, and frequenting businesses there, supporting businesses. So whilst we can't congregate en masse, there are certainly more opportunities for residents, visitors to further support and engage our neighbourhood centres. And here in Maroondah we have 31 shopping centres with approximately 600 plus businesses. And those businesses, predominantly in the service industry, are the ones that have been hardest hit as a result of COVID. So wherever there's the opportunity for us to support and enliven these areas through a number of initiatives, and I don't want to put Nick on the spot, but if Nick would like to add to that, then I certainly welcome her to say a few words. But that's going to be a significant element in all of that. Nick, would you like to provide us with a little bit of an overview? Is that possible?
The 20-minute neighbourhood project is really focusing on place activation. So as Chris mentioned, how we can encourage people to safely come to our centres into the future and start to reactivate our businesses. We've also taken the initiative of putting shopping centre decals in a number of our centres, encouraging people both to support local business and also to maintain that 1.5 metre distancing. And as Chris said, we're working on a further economic recovery package for all of our local businesses, and we recognise the value of them across the board. So it's a trying time for everybody, and we're more than happy to hear what our colleagues here have to say so that can further inform some of the work that we're doing to aid the recovery process.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. I guess the other thing to talk to are the CALD communities that we have, and an ever-growing number of businesses that are being owned or operated by members of our CALD community, and how it is we engage with those community members. Looking at shopping centre improvements, and by that I mean not so much wholesale changes to shopping centres, but how it is we can augment through footpath widening, providing opportunities for outdoor dining, outdoor trading, those sorts of interventions that provide shops, traders the opportunity of ensuring that there's an expansion of their business, and that we see again, this adherence to social distancing very, very important. Again, I mentioned the business triage, where we provide not only business experts to assist with business queries, but also mental health inquiries as well. And the other thing we're doing, of course, on a regular basis, are the digital communications and engagements with updates to our website, EDMs, social media, and also looking at things from a regional perspective and not just within our patch. And as chair of the Melbourne East Regional Economic Development Group, in fact, we had our meeting today where we discussed what another updated regional survey across the Eastern region might look like for businesses, and how we can draw on having gone through closure once before, what this is likely to mean for businesses now and into the short to medium term. So a number of things in train. We also have state government engaging with council in a far more concerted way than ever before, primarily to understand how it is that our local businesses are doing. And this is where groups such as the Maroondah Business Group are very important in terms of providing a conduit to council and that information through to state government in terms of assisting them in terms of the design and implementation of a number of different initiatives they might have. We've got a whole raft of training and mentoring, webinars and the like. I'm not going to bore you with a whole list of those, but certainly the suite of those things continues. And I will say, in terms of the municipal relief and recovery, very lucky that council has provided some not inconsequential dollars at all to how it is we can respond to community as well as business in terms of assistance. So we're hoping that come the end of the engagement process, that we'll be in a position to identify a number of community and business priorities that we can seek to address. So a lot of things in train, and I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have, and I'm pleased to see that the contingent is bolstered this evening from our CEO, director, and chair of our business advisory committee, Councillor Kylie Spears. So fire away, folks. No questions? Great. Okay.
No,
thank you very much.
It's been a
pleasure.
Chris, if you could maybe enlighten us a little bit with the Be Kind campaign, Be Kind to Maroondah, and how that is to impact businesses and how we can get on board with that. And perhaps just maybe if you've got a couple of examples without names of some of the challenges that we face, that perhaps we could, because I think it's going to take a little bit from a lot, not a lot from a little. So yeah, just perhaps a couple of stories, or but also about the Be Kind.
Great question, Edwina. Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot. Now and the reason I'm doing this is that Nick has had a bit more to do with it than I. Would you like to talk to some of the Be Kind?
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the question, Edwina. Good question. So the Be Kind campaign is all about supporting local business, supporting our local community, and obviously being kind to each other. It's a bit of a tricky one in the current lockdown phase, because we had a number of postcards produced that we were aiming to deliver to all of our shopping centres. But it's a tricky one in terms of social distancing. We can't really be out there hand delivering postcards. But we have encouraged the community to give us stories about where they've had a positive experience with local businesses, and we've published those onto our BizHub website. Council or the BizHub team has facilitated that contact with the businesses and sought approval from the businesses prior to the stories being published. But that's certainly getting the word out about being kind to businesses. We could also put a plug in for our colleagues at Eastland, who have been doing some wonderful work with the community through the schools, handing out free toilet paper and hand sanitisers at the train station, and a number of other community-based initiatives that they've been working on. And we're about to put an article up on the BizHub website again about how they've pivoted to do business differently in the current situation. We've got a number of examples of that with businesses across the board who have come across different ways of doing business and being innovative in the current times, and promoting those stories also then encourages other businesses and gives them the confidence to give things a go. So it is really a community-based campaign. There's a strategy behind it, and there's more information on the Maroondah website if anyone wants to go and have a look. And there's also some updated information on our BizHub website as well, and those pivot articles.
And it's something that we can include on our own website to link.
Definitely, definitely. Spread the word as far as we can. And while we can't do the...
Yeah, the inspiring stories don't always come from the most obvious, and you have to really look around corners and under rocks to find them. So
that's right.
Yeah, and
not all the stories, Edwin. Oh, sorry, Nick.
Sorry, no, you go, Kylie. You go.
No, I was going to say, and you're right, Edwina, in what you're saying too, because the Be Kind campaign hasn't just been about business. This is about community as well. So some of the most amazing stories that we've seen have actually been around just our community and how they're engaging. Now, sometimes that's with a business, but sometimes it's just with each other, and just the level of care and what's being seen. You should, the Facebook page has had some amazing things, including, some counsellors with some hilarious ones, but some actually amazing stories from our actual residents who have, in their day-to-day just taken those extra steps to make a difference to somebody else. And that's what it's all been about.
Even Winter Shelter, the way they've pivoted to support our homeless at the most vulnerable time of year, we need to celebrate that as a community. They are members of our community, cooking meals for vulnerable people and being available for showers and things like that. That's the best of our community, and that's what we need to be celebrating, I think. And there's a lot of that, but I think Winter Shelter is a great example.
But it's even things like, most people would not know that Meals on Wheels has been delivering toilet paper and paper towel at the same time that it's delivering meals, because we know that for our most vulnerable, they couldn't get out. And when toilet paper was in short supply, that was one of the things that council just stepped up and did. So it's all of those things. I know Glen Park are running an amazing community pantry and community dinners at the moment that have, I saw Naomi had made 105 dinners yesterday and, doing all of these things. So there's a whole lot of things that are around not just our community, but also our businesses. It's a bit of both. It's even the stories of, and I know in our family, we don't usually get a coffee every day, but hello, because it's shut down and that's the only outing, it's the walk to the coffee shop, there's been a coffee and it supports a local business. So, it's even those little things that everybody's doing that I think the Be Kind part is that everyone is. I mean, I'm sure you're all out walking. Surely when you walk past someone, you still say hello now, much more than you used to do. You'll say hello, you might, socially distance and, have a chat or do whatever. And, it does make a difference.
If I can add, there is one thing that it's really interesting in terms of the business landscape. If we look at our shopping centres, our 31 centres, they're very much a barometer. And when people see shops, businesses that are closed, it indicates that something's not quite right. And that's also interesting because those businesses are predominantly within the service industry, hairdressers, cafe operators, nail technicians. You're in close proximity with people to receive and provide that service. And that's where COVID-19 particularly impacts and devastates these businesses. One of the discussions I've had with the Office of Suburban Development was one where they said, so Chris, how do we activate these centres? I said, well, that's an easy one. Give us a vaccine for COVID-19 and we're away. But, you know, removing tongue from cheek, I think if we're looking at these neighbourhood centres now as being an area of priority where people walk, where people cycle to individually and as family members, then there's certainly more opportunity for us to buy a coffee, something to eat from these smaller local centres and to do exactly that, be kind. So I think there's a lot that we can do as community in terms of supporting these smaller businesses in ensuring that, you know, they don't fall foul of the second closure.
And I think if we can hear from them, Chris, how much they appreciate. So when that gratitude comes back, it's cyclic, or, you know, there's a positive resonance that people are then inspired to go and do that more. So I think we have a responsibility there too, to tell their stories of appreciation. And, you know, there's some, you know, I know there's lots, and there's lots of businesses too, but people are out there wanting to help, I know. And if they know that what they're doing is having an impact, even if it's buying one meal at the local takeaway, you're still doing that rather than cooking at home, which I think we're all getting sick of having to do that every night. So when we can get in and have someone else cook for us, it's lovely. So it is about communication, and communication is what really, you know, the silver lining here is that I think we can really develop depth to our community, which is that family type, broader than our immediate family, but seeing Maroondah as family. And I think if we can up that communication, and I think as Maroondah Business Group too, us just being mindful of that and just putting that time into sharing those stories, we can help.
Edwina, can I just add, it's not only being kind to business, but it's also ensuring that through our actions, and that being social distancing, perhaps now wearing face masks and all of those sorts of things, it's ensuring that we do the right thing. Because if we don't do the right thing, I think we've seen more recently the consequences of what that means.
Yeah.
And that's when you really start impacting in a very adverse way you know, our local businesses. Yeah. And when you consider that 86% of the businesses in Maroondah are small to medium-sized enterprises employing 5 or less people, they're the backbone of our community. So if we're not doing the right thing, ultimately they'll be the ones paying the price. So I think part of the Be Kind Maroondah campaign should be reiterating the fact that we need to observe these social distancing measures. We need to observe hand washing and all of that, because that's going to be, you know, how we act will be a direct measure of the impact that our businesses are going to see.
I think one of the things we can do is think about this, you know, we've talked about this in our group before, but it isn't a physical distance, but a social connection. And it's, you know, even using that language, and I know Kmart used physical distancing rather than social distancing. It's a change, but, you know, reiterating the importance of social connection with a physical distance means that we keep communication and connection. And I think we have a responsibility to take that message to community where we can. And yeah.
Here, 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 here. Bravo, bravo, bravo from Nabil. I absolutely hate that term, social distancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally behind you there, Edwina.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's what's being coined and used unilaterally. But at the end of the day, I'm finding that people are really hurting, and even people that are social, you know.
We can't hear you, Nabil.
You're being socially distant.
To socially distance yourself and get your mindset around that, it can really put you behind the head.
I think, Chris, thank you so much. And thank you and Nick for the work you're doing. And I should have, obviously, Steve and Phil and Kylie, and we should do all of the official bits. And we just see you as part of our group. And I should have welcomed you in a more meaningful way at the beginning. So I apologise. Thank you so much for your presence. We appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys and to hear from you. Chris, I'll send you through the survey we talked about. I'll send you through the survey we've come up with, and we can have a little chat. And I won't send anything out without you having a look at that to see that it's complementary to the work that you're doing. And survey fatigue, I get that. So, but yeah, challenging times. But I wouldn't want to be in a you know, other than living in Talangi, but being part of Maroondah community, I think we do it well. And if it's going to happen, if things, we need to lead other areas in how to do it, because I think we start a long way ahead. And yeah, and that's because we have great leadership. So thank you guys so much for what you do. We don't take that for granted at all. So,
thanks, Edwina.
all righty. So if everyone's happy, we're a bit over time. We'll
Can
see
I
you
just
next
say
month.
something?
We don't know what we've got, but it'll be fantastic.
Can I say something, Edwina?
Yes, Gail, go for it.
Just something I noticed when I was down the street and talking about all this cleaning and all that sort of stuff. I know that the council have obviously got a group of people that are going down the main street, wiping down the bins and all that sort of stuff. Is that correct, councillors?
Yeah.
They don't wipe down the handles of the mailbox. And that would be touched more than the top of the bins.
Oh, okay. Yep, take on board. We can add that in.
Well, you know, they go down and they do the top of the bins, and they do the push button at the things, and they walk past the post box, and those levers will be pulled down a million times more times than people who put their hands on the top of the bins.
Yeah, particularly at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, I understand that may be an Australia Post issue. I'm not sure, but the thing about it is, if you're sanitising the street, that thing is probably used more than anything else in the street, in my opinion.
And I have to say, I've seen them sanitising light poles and things that people would never touch, but yeah.
That's just a comment of something that I noticed, and I thought that could be an improvement.
Yep.
Right, thank you, Gail. We'll pass that on to our comrades at the depot who are doing the
cleanliness
interface.
people, yeah.
Steve, would you like to say anything?
No, look, thanks for the opportunity, Edwina. I think that it's been an interesting session this evening, and I really do appreciate that you've given Chris the opportunity to outline and Nick, you know, what business and activity centre development people have been doing for the business community and the community more broadly. Just wanted to just make one comment, and it's really more an invitation and for the Maroondah Business Group, and that's probably timely, if you haven't already planned for it, is for the annual Maroondah report by council to the group.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to make that available again. You know, obviously we've got a council election coming up, so we need to be wary
Maybe,
of that.
would you like to do it next month?
More than happy to, and look, we'd love to have as many people as possible attend. I know in the past it's been very well attended in person. I know there are restrictions in relation to, you know, virtual meetings, but there's a lot going on, and I think it would be great if we could, you know, communicate and touch base with as many business people as we possibly can through that report.
We might even get it out to our schools too, because I think it's time for our schools to start thinking about how they support business. If we're talking about those 31 activity centres, we have schools in close proximity to all of those, and we can be very, very strategic in how we promote. Schools have large communities. So I'll get something out to all the principals, and perhaps if we do an inclusion piece that we know schools are businesses as well. So we'll look at doing that, and perhaps, you know, that's August, your elections are October, so there's a little bit of time there.
That's right, yeah.
It'd be really
August would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So August would be better than September for the Maroondah report, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think so.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. That's fabulous. That's a good win. Hey, Jen. Yep. Perfect.
Yep.
We'll-
Yep.
Gail's, yep. Catherine's, yep. Awesome. Unanimous.
No worries.
Alrighty.
Very good.
Fabulous. Loving the picture behind you, Steve, too. The little toy there with the orange beak.
Steve, I'd like to know if the Bob Dylan book is there for strategic purposes.
No, very good. It's actually a very recent purchase. It's my wife's. I don't know whether you can see, but there's probably a shelf full of them, of different Bob Dylan stuff.
That's
so
what he reads in his spare time.
That's it. Yeah. Quality stuff.
Fantastic. I wasn't sure if it was apparently there's people now, talk about business innovation, there's people now that style your virtual background and style your bookcases.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Very good.
To send a message about who you are to other people. So,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Clever people.
They are innovative.
Team, nothing else? Catherine, Jen, Gail, we're all good. All righty. Thank you, everyone. And we'll be in touch.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks,
everyone.
Carmel.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.